Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie, and after a week away at Masuna, I'm back with a developer Q&A video for EVE Echoes. Now for those of you who already know what a developer Q&A video is, who already know why I do this, and who don't care about winning a month of Combo Omega, you can skip ahead using the timestamps shown on screen now. That'll take you through to the meat of the video. For the rest of you, let's explain. So every single week, the developers of EVE Echoes take a series of questions posed by you, the community. They answer those questions and post the responses to the official EVE Echoes Facebook account, Twitter page, Discord, and in-game as well. Now, you can just read through these yourself, but I like to add my own personal thoughts and opinions to these. This allows me to collate a lot of different evidence and answers and suggestions from previous developer Q&As, from my contact with the developers directly, from Discord AMAs, roundtables, all of this kind of thing, to give a more thorough impression of what's actually going on and what could be coming to the game. It's also a chance for me to talk about game design and to just go over what I think could be good for the game and what could be bad for the game, and hopefully give you some more informed, understanding of why EVE Echoes is the way it is. Now, if you're interested in learning about Combo Omega, well, there are a couple of different ways to get Omega. First of all, Basic Omega. If you want to have a question answered by the developers, I've put a link in the description down below that you can click on. It'll take you through to a Google document where you can ask the developers a question for a future developer Q&A. Any of the questions chosen to be answered not only gets the answer, not only gets featured in one of my videos, but will also win a month of Basic Omega. And beyond that, I give 3 lucky people every single week a month of Combo Omega. You need to be commenting on my videos here, any of my EVE Echoes videos. If you're commenting on it, there is a chance that that one will be selected to win a month of Combo Omega, and 2 people are randomly selected from the Catskull Discord, linked in the description of this video as well. So if you're talking and active on there, you'll be in with a chance of winning. That all said and done then, I think we should jump right in. Please hit like on the video if you haven't already. Otherwise, here's the developer Q&A for the week of the 2nd to the 8th of August. I'm impressed and pleased with the appearance and visuals for the latest update, says question 1, and the presented storyline seems interesting. However, you have again provided content in which only Tech 9 and Tech 10, Battleship and Capital pilots can actually be effective. Are there any plans to include content for pilots who choose to fly smaller ships? Mike responds, "We have received a lot of similar feedback recently." Yeah, a lot. This has angered a lot of people, not just me. In fact, in the earliest plan, we wanted to have levels of different tonnages in the Dormant realm. However, due to the large amount of content involved, only 2 non-capital ship levels and 2 capital ship levels were completed. We will add new modes in future, which will give priority to smaller ships. Now forgive me, Mike, if I don't believe that for a second. We've been told that the Anjung would be released in the future. We were told that they would be released in July to the Scholar Point score, back in June of 2020. Still nothing. July 2021 never happened, and same again, 2022, July has now gone, no Yan Zheng. We were told that DIR Reflection would be back soon. We were told that the anti-drone pulse bombs would be added soon. We were told that the hacking minigame would be added soon. Then that one went from soon to where we've got it on the plan eventually to we have no plans for it. So I am losing trust when Nettie says in the future. Those 3 words, in the future, basically mean stop asking and we'll hope you forget. That is basically what's going on here. Now, ultimately, what we're seeing, I think, isn't necessarily... There's loads of conspiracy theories about, oh, Netties only provide Battleship content because that's where the expensive nanocores and stuff are. Yeah, but you know what? That's a really short-sighted business decision if that's what you're going for, because then all the people like me who enjoy flying those smaller ships are just going to give up and quit, and we're the ones still paying for Omega every single month because we don't have battleships that make it super easy to get the ISK for Omega. We're the ones who pay for a monthly subscription, so they would be losing all that money. Every single person who wants to fly Tech 10 frigates, destroyers, cruisers, they are just as valid as any Tech 10 battleship pilot as far as the finances are concerned. Now, why do Netties insist on releasing for battleships then? Well, this is a little thing referred to as survivorship bias, and it's the basic concept that if you base your responses and your evidence purely on what has survived, then you are missing a huge chunk of data. This was coined, I think, during World War War II, there was a Hungarian mathematician who looked at some airplanes that were returning back to US, and people were saying that, look, you can see here, these aircraft have returned to base. This is where they've been hit most, because that's where the bullet holes are. That's where we should reinforce it. And he turned around and said, actually, you might have forgotten that many of these didn't come back. And the ones that didn't come back were probably hit in places that these ones don't have bullet holes, because being hit in those areas killed the other aircraft, whereas these ones survived because they weren't hit in their areas. And that is survivorship bias. In short, it looks like netties are basically looking at the data, and they're saying, well, everyone's flying battleships, so we just need to keep making content for battleships. And it's like, yes, everyone's flying battleships because that's all you've made freaking content for. There's no real choice in the matter. If you want to fly cruisers, destroyers, or frigates, you're stuck with PvP. That is it. That is all you can do. There is nothing interesting, nothing competitive, nothing remotely, stable. And I got so sick and freaking tired of trying to explain this in the content creator chat last week, and yeah, Benzie's here with not a care in the world right now to talk about this crap, with people going, oh, but Faction War Games was added for frigates, that's content. No, it's not. One, it's PvP, which I've ruled out as a possibility. I've said everything but PvP. You can only do PvP in these ships. Oh, but they've got this PvP mode, then that's not what I'm talking about now, is it? So shut up. Secondly, is Faction War Games really content? Sit in a queue for 10-15 minutes, get a 5-minute game full of bots and other absolute idiots, only to, do that 2 or 3 times and then it's turned off. What do you do for the rest of the day when you're a frigate pilot? Oh, but then you've got tier 6. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting so angry here, I'm choking myself. You've got tier 6 Nihilist Dead Space. Yeah, I can fly around a healer and look for the rare spawn of a Nihilist Dead Space that's viable for me to do and hope no one's already doing it. Or I can use my Capsuleer Outpost to spawn 2 of them a week. Aren't I lucky? I might get 3 or 4 bits of content in an entire week of playing. That's not content, that's bullshit. And ultimately, anyone who is favouring that, I'm calling out certain content creators here. If you're listening to this, you know who you are, and your arguments were absolute nonsense. I'm trying not to swear. Absolute nonsense. Ultimately, we need content for smaller ships, and I think the only reason we aren't getting it is because they're too busy looking at the data without actually understanding the data, and unfortunately that seems to be a running theme with netties when they look at things like missile statistics. Oh, well, missiles aren't doing quite as well as other ships, therefore we need to buff the damage. Doesn't matter how good the damage is if the application is still pitiful. Ultimately, that's what I think the situation is here. And again, we might be getting new stuff in future. If netties really wanted this, I can tell you, I've known about this mode, Dormant Realms, sort of in theory, along with implants, since about April. If netties wanted these ships to be in there, they would have made it a priority. So to me, it just stinks of quickly cover up the fact and go, oh yeah, we totally planned for it, but it just wasn't easy to do, so we prioritized the one that we've already got content for. Which is such an arse-about backwards way of doing things anyway, but if they'd wanted it to be cruiser, destroyer, or frigate friendly, they would have already done it. These answers are purely reactionary, and I'm not buying it anymore. I am not buying that steaming pile of excrement that netties ships out every time there's a complaint. And I'm sorry, I love Melos, I love Landstar, I love Exile, I love Cloud, I love all of the guys that I speak to. They're awesome guys. But I just wish they'd freaking listen and stopped staring at data and spreadsheets. Moving on then to question number 2, taking a breath. With the addition of the new implants, are there any plans to add non-combat oriented ones? Such ones could include exploration, mining, hauling, etc. Now, Melos, who was basically the lead of this, says, this was discussed internally, but in the end we decided to prioritise the use of implants on combat-related modules, with continuous monitoring on their impact on combat balance. However, our attitude is open. Maybe some more imaginative use of implants will be added in the future. I'm getting tired of that word, but ultimately, here, I would like to take Melos at his word, because we did talk about this, and there were talk about, implants for mining that would work in a similar way to make mining less AFK and a bit more involved. Now, for exploration, I don't think you need implants. I think you just need the hacking minigame. Give us a hacking minigame, and explorers will be happy. It gives us something to do. Don't get me wrong, hacking and exploration, it's not in a terrible place right now. It's just boring as all heck to do, because you drift from system to system, scan, find something, and then you just orbit a box until the game says yay or nay, and then you move on to the next one. Give us the hacking minigame and exploration is sorted. You don't need implants for that. That should just be a basic thing of exploration. In regards to things like industry and mining, though, yeah, I think mining laser implants would be really cool. But again, it does require us to nerf the current mining yields, because otherwise you're going to just be amplifying what is already ridiculously high. As Nina keeps pointing out, much to like industrialists out there, the noob industrialists I like to point out, keep sitting there and going, oh, but when Nina points out that it doesn't matter what kind of ore sink could be added to the game, it doesn't matter that insurance is creating ships out of thin air in inverted commas, when ultimately the ore supply is infinite. When you can just undock, clear a mining belt, jump in immediately to another mining belt, and keep doing that endlessly, you have an endless supply of ore, which means there is never going to be a meaningful ore sink, because how do you balance an infinite faucet with finite sinks? And you can't have an infinite ore sink. That's beyond comprehension. You would literally have to have stuff being deleted out of like your hangars as you are, just leaving it there. It'd have to decay constantly, and that's such a terrible idea. I don't want someone to listen to this and go, oh, actually, Benzie's on a roll there. No, I'm not. You've just got to reduce the spawns. Like, triple the size of a belt. Triple the size of a belt, but put it on like a 12-hour cooldown. And give it a daily cooldown for all it matters. Belts should be a resource, not a infinitely spawning content pile. That would also actually push miners out of a singular system and into other systems as well. And again, miners are going to message me in the comments saying, oh, we're already having such a hard time of it, Benzie, and here you are crapping on us and trying to make our lives harder. No, I'm not. I'm trying to fix the system. But you've got to understand that the system cannot be an infinite lay back and just let the ores come in. That is why the system is broken. And for it to be fixed, we need to actually take some steps that sound pretty controversial and unpopular on paper. Question 3. Did you anticipate players in Dormant Realms ganking each other? No big deal, just curious if you planned for the danger to be there, otherwise it's very good. Now, a game developer friend of mine once said, if it's in the game, it's intentional. If you sit there and say, well, maybe, I'm not supposed to kill the NPCs in Dark Souls, if you can target them, if you can kill them, then the developers intended for it to happen. I don't care what you think of netties or what other little slang term you want to use for them to make yourself feel big and powerful. If it's in the game, it was probably intentional. Like, we know that HiSec has the ability for you to lock onto people, but you can't target them with aggressive modules. So they could have easily added that into Dormant Realms. The fact that they didn't, it suggests they have. Mike answers, to be honest, we've considered that PvP might occur in the Dormant Realm, otherwise we would not have adjusted the drop rate to 0, but there is no doubt that we underestimated some Capsuleer's enthusiasm and skill of PvP in the Dormant Realm, which resulted in a bad experience for other Capsuleers. Yeah, it sucks to be pulled into a pickup group and basically just stripped of everything, destroyed for the fun of it, but ultimately, this is EVE. Like, I don't know how to say that. If you want to be doing group content, you should be able to find a group that you trust. And if your alliance mates are doing that to you, well, you need a better alliance. In order to allow Capsuleers to better focus on PvE and team up with strangers more easily, we've finally decided to completely ban attacking teammates in the Dormant Realm. This change will be released soon, so stay tuned. I'm actually all for this. Clearly, adding PvP was not a good idea for this one. I think it was genuinely intentional, but I don't think they anticipated such levels of abuse. People who like to kick over each other's sandcastles. That's fine. This is EVE. I'm not complaining about that. I think that it's good they've taken a stance and have decided that no, we wanted this to be a cooperative team effort thing, and, screwing each other over, not really what we intended. Finally then, question number 4. Do you have any plans to allow Capsuleer Outposts to be upgraded to allow additional low, mid, or high slots? It would be great if the upgrade could cost a lot of minerals to helping miners. No. Before I even let Melos answer this one, please get rid of this concept that adding upgrades to things would be a massive thing for No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Anything like this is just a temporary one-off. Netties insisting saying that adding capital ships would be a good thing for miners, that the raw coal would be a good thing for miners. They're one-off things. Once it's built, that's it. People don't need to do it anymore. Ultimately, it's not an ore sink if you only need to do it once. Ore sinks are things like ammunition. Ore sinks are things like implants if they were actually destroyed, which sadly they're not, and there's not really an ore sink involved in implants anymore. Ore sinks are things like rigs, building modules, ships, that kind of thing. Anything that can actually be destroyed and removed from the game on a constant basis. Capsuleer outposts and big stuff like that? No. Also, adding more low, mid, and high slots. Two of the biggest problems in the game are caused by Capsuleer outposts and their low slots. Look, I'm going to say right now, I use my my outpost to sit there and just spawn in infinite amount of PI. It's how I make most of my money as an explorer. My Capsuleer outposts are harvesting their plural, one on each of my two main characters, are harvesting PI, which I then sell to my my alliance. And that's one of my biggest ways of making money, because Lord knows exploration is not a good money maker otherwise. But I enjoy exploration, so, you know, it's a way that I can make money while still doing something I enjoy, you know? But ultimately, that is what is setting the benchmark for PI currently, and that does mean that new planetary income players are a little bit backwards, because ultimately, if I can have two Capsuleer outposts with two RMCs constantly harvesting PI, and you've just got whatever you've got from your planetary skill and your little ship running around and picking it up, then I'm obviously going to be an advantage there. Also, if you want to know why we have so many C-types on the market, it's because NDSs can be spawned twice a week per Capsuleer outpost, and if you have enough Capsuleer outposts in a system, you can easily be running 3 or 4 of these every single day with your alliance, earning a ton of C-type on top of any of the NDSs that actually spawn naturally, and that floods the market. So adding more to this, not a great idea. As for mid and high slots, really, if you've got an outpost and you put it down somewhere, you need to be prepared to defend it, not just hope that the station can be left AFK and defend itself. But let's see what Melos's response here is. If the Capsuleer outpost requires a lot of minerals to get high, medium, and low slots, then it should be given strong combat capability correspondingly. Not sure I agree, Melos. Otherwise, the player will think that the cost effectiveness is too low and will not make this upgrade. Yeah, okay, fair point, there is a balance to be had there, but EVE has always run basically on an 80-20% rule. 80% more expensive for 20% more effective. It's diminishing returns. That's how EVE works. Things that get better become much more expensive for small amounts of better, if that makes sense. You know, going from, say, Republic fleets to C-type is not particularly a big cost upgrade, and it's a pretty decent chunk from there. Going from C-type to B-type, that's a lot more expensive, and it's not much of an upgrade. Going from B-type to A-type, same upgrade pretty much as C to B, but it's like 5 times more expensive, and then A-type to X-type, infinitely more expensive for that same tiny upgrade. That's the point. That's how these systems work. So Melos, I'm not sure I agree with you there that it has to have strong combat just because it's expensive. I think players need something to aim for that isn't necessarily going to break the game. Having something be just a little bit more powerful but a lot more expensive, well, isn't that like the Bellicose 2 covert ops to the Bellicose 3 covert ops, and you still see plenty of people flying those? I still see plenty of Naga 3s, even though they're not that much better than a Naga 2, and they are like literally 5 times the price. So yeah, ultimately, that's how EVE works. Anyway, so he says, I've lost my place. However, the Capsuleer outpost is not designed to have strong combat capability in the first place, so we probably won't consider consuming a large amount of minerals to upgrade outposts. Yeah, I get that. I don't think outposts are the kind of thing that need upgrading. I think if you're upgrading outposts, you run the risk of crashing the PI market, of crashing the C-type market even worse than it already is, and making outpost bashing one of the few things that actually is good in the game gone, because, you know what? The fact that outposts can't be insured means they do need to be rebuilt. And yeah, I know I'm sitting here saying that, oh, because they're so niche and, you know, they're like one-off things, that upgrade means it's not going to be rebuilt. Because most people who build a Capsuleer outpost put it somewhere freaking safe and defend it, you know? So that big cost for the upgrade there, it's not that big a cost for them because they can defend it and then it's a one-off. I think like, just leaving capture outposts the way they are is the best way forward. And if you want ore sinks in the game, I'm getting tired of people saying, oh, it'd be great because we can do this and it'll help miners. No, it won't. It's a short-term fix. It's a short-term fix. Until we reduce the flow of ore into the game, anything that tries to take ore out of the game is ultimately a futile effort. Now, ultimately, that's this week's developer Q&A, and I know I've come back from holiday a little bit ranty, but it's kind of that, you know what, I've taken a week off to look at the game, look at myself, and I love this game, I love this community, but I've got things I need to say, you know? I've got stuff I need to get off my chest. And that's what the dev Q&As are for me. They're an opportunity to not rip it out of players, but to rip it out of concepts. To challenge people's concepts and say to them, what you think is a good idea for the game isn't a good idea for the game, and here's why. And people get angry at me on this on Discord, especially on the official community Discord, where I am often accused of supposedly shutting down conversation. What people don't understand is when I can display evidence for my point of view and you can't, I'm not shutting you down, I'm just pointing out that your stance has no evidence to support it, and therefore, by Carl Sagan's own toolkit for science, must, by necessity, be ignored. If you cannot validate your stance and opinion, then it is, by nature, invalid. You need to be able to provide some kind of evidence. Don't just come at me with ideas and feelings. I live and breathe Eve Echoes. I want this game and this community to thrive and flourish. And I can't do that if the people challenging me are just sitting there with thoughts and feelings and getting angry at me because I disagree, even though I have reasons for disagreeing. Like, genuinely, this topic of, like, ore sinks and things. People are sitting there saying, oh, insurance is the only and the one and only true cause of death of of industrialists. And then I have industrialists sit there and say to me, is industry dead? Because I'm still making ships and enjoying it and selling them and having fun. And I say, well, no, it's not dead for everyone, but it's become a lot more niche, which is a fair point. But is industry the problem? Well, if you can logically take an aspect out of a situation, then you look at the situation. If I take insurance out of the game, is industry fixed? No. Therefore, insurance cannot be the be-all problem, can it? Because if you can remove something and it's still broken, then it's not the only thing wrong with it. And ultimately, if you then take insurance out and look and say, well, why is the system not fixed? It's because we still have infinite flow of resource and very limited consumption. Even without insurance, you're still going to have people in high-sec islands who never lose a ship and just generate ISK day in, day out. You're still going to have people who just dock up every time PvP comes by them. You're still going to have people who choose now not to do PvP. All those people who used to do PvP and bring their ships back via insurance, those aren't going to exist anymore. A lot of those folks will not undock anymore unless they know they can win the situation because they don't want to lose the ships. Therefore, insurance isn't the problem, it is just an exacerbating factor to the core problem, which is lack of meaningful consumption under a situation where there is endless and infinite flow. Therefore, we need to fix the flow first of all. Then we can start looking and seeing whether the sinks we have in game are already sufficient once the flow has been restricted, or if we need to increase or decrease those at some point in the future. It's logic, it's got actual number and data behind it, and people don't like that. People like their feelings, people want to feel validated, and I get that. But if you're going to have a discussion with me on how to fix the game, please, come at me with ideas. And if I then sit there and I do try to be polite, if I say that, look, this idea is not going to work because of X, Y, and Z, and you just say, nah, it'll work, I'm just going to sit there and blink at my screen and wonder if you really did just type that. Or I'm going to sit there and say, look, how? How is it going to work? And at which point you can then respond with, oh, I think it'll work because of this, 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 and this. And I can say, actually, that's pretty cool. I don't agree that it would work, but I think there's some cool ideas there. What could we do with that? And thus a discussion is born. If you just come at me with, no, it'll work, and then I say, I don't think it will. How will it work? Oh, it just will. You're not helping me with data or actual ideas and concepts here. You're just telling me that this will magically fix it. Yep. Okay. And at that point, I'm out of the conversation. And if you continue to come at me with that, I'm just going to be like, look, I'm sorry, I can't listen to what you're saying because I'm trying to formulate proper ideas and responses, and you're not giving them that capability. You're not engaging with that. Anyway, that's why I do developer Q&A videos. Hopefully I've not been too ranty today. It's nice to get back behind the microphone. I do miss it when I'm away. This week has been so stressful with just the release of this new patch, the Sleeper update, compounded by the week after's balance patch. Oh boy, video on that one coming. And yeah, me being out at Masuna and literally having no internet for an entire week, and that's been super stressful. I've not been able to engage with my community. I've not been able to play the game other than literally log in, do my PI, and collect the event stuff, and even that takes me about 45 minutes on that Wi-Fi. Anyway, that's been today's Dev Q&A video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you for listening to me ramble on incessantly. I do love you guys, and your support really does mean the world to me. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!